everyone, I'm Ash from What Culture, and I'm here with another lovely director ranking to get on down with at whatever time you're watching. This time, we're diving into the depths of the Coen brothers' back catalogue to rustle up exactly what their best ever film is, which is actually pretty hard since none of them are that bad, really. The guys truly have a filmography that is distinctly their own, exploring existential themes with a uniquely sardonic, off-the-wall sensibility that often busts genres wide open. Oof. Films to disagree paid off. Now, the last time I did this, I used Rotten Tomatoes ratings as a basis to comment on each film's popularity, but this time, we're going straight for that sweet, sweet subjective stuff from the lovely minds of us here at What Culture. So, without further ado, this is every Coen brothers movie ranked from worst to best. 18. The Ladykillers, 2004. Now, The Ladykillers isn't necessarily bad, but it isn't necessarily a Coen brothers movie through and through either. The original 1955 Eton comedy with Alec Guinness can be argued to trump the Coens version, but nothing is quite as terrible as others would have you believe. The key problem with The Ladykillers is that it doesn't take the Coens out of their comfort zone. It just feels like the filmmakers are coasting by, doing what they already know how to do. And where it goes somewhere new in its broader, less mature comedy, it is not as great. I'm not saying The Ladykillers isn't a perfectly watchable, entertaining film, it's just that we tend to expect a little bit more from the Coens than simple entertainment, at least at this point anyway. 17. Intolerable Cruelty, 2003. Again, this is a case of the Coens at less than full power working with material that has other people's sticky fingerprints on it, even if they did have a say in the final cut. Originally written by the brothers as a script for Ron Howard to direct, Intolerable Cruelty spent some time in development before they were hired to direct it themselves since no one else would do it. The result is an odd mix of the Coens' signature style with a largely conventional romantic comedy formula. Not bad, or rather not intolerable, but perhaps not what most of the intense admirers of the pair were hoping for at the time. 16. Burn After Reading, 2008. This star-studded, though fairly small-scale production is rarely mentioned as one of the Coens' best. Even so, it is a hugely witty and entertaining dealio, maybe one of the most plausible conspiracy-based movies to have ever come out of Hollywood too, as the chief conspiracy is that, well, spoiler, there is no conspiracy. Much like any spy thriller, it's often hard to keep track of what's going on in Burn After Reading, but that's the real joke. When all's said and done, basically nothing is going on except that everyone is suspicious of everyone else. 15. True Grit, 2010. Ooh, I know some people won't like this placing as much, but it's here, it's at 15, and it's True Grit. As a remake of a well-loved movie, the material in True Grit comes off as considerably less personal and recognisably Coen-esque. Even so, with its excellent performances and expert craftsmanship, True Grit is as fine a western as has been made in decades. True Grit disperses with many old-fashioned romantic notions about living in the Old West, and our heroes are often far more entirely heroic. All in all, True Grit just doesn't give us a great deal of what we haven't seen from innumerable other westerns in the past, but given how comparatively scarce westerns have been in these past few decades, it is entirely excusable. It's good, it's a good movie. It's a good movie, I'm sorry it's here. I'm just sorry. 14. The Man Who Wasn't There, 2001. Never was the Coens' fascination with Hollywood's history more clear than in The Man Who Wasn't There, a take on the classic film noir format and their only film to date presented entirely in black and white. It's almost like Macbeth if the protagonist, played by good old Billy Bob Thornton, was considerably less prone to monologues and his goal was to invest in the dry cleaning industry rather than to take the throne of Scotland. While it does have plenty of the Coens' characteristic quirks, and I'm not saying aliens, but aliens, The Man Who Wasn't There is one of their more somber works, really, and probably their most downbeat film of the early 2000s. Again, doesn't make it bad, but just saying, it's downbeat. 13. Blood Simple, 1984. Time has perhaps been ever so slightly less kind to the low-budget, independently produced debut feature from the Coen brothers than their subsequent work, yet as a hard-boiled film noir that comes with a lovely 1980s horror vibe, it is still distinctive and stands up well today. It's a striking and atmospheric movie, somewhat grimmer than much of the work the filmmakers would come to make their name on, and it marked the start of lots of their collaborative relationships with actors and filmmaking talent. So we do owe it a lot. Thank you, Blood Simple. Thank you. Good work. Thumbs up. 12. Hail Caesar, 2016. So great is their love for old Hollywood, it's almost surprising the Coens have never done a fully fledged musical. Hail Caesar maybe isn't that, but with a number of fully choreographed song and dance numbers, it does come very close. Their 2016 film is as great a love letter to the early days of the studio system as we could ever hope to see, and its affection proves hugely contagious. The Coens bring together another eye-catching, star-studded cast featuring George Clooney, Scarlett Johansson, Ralph Fiennes, Tilda Swinton, Jonah Hill, and a notably scene-stealing Channing Tatum. And it's all terribly charming and lovely, and it's just nice. It's nice. 11. Inside Llewyn Davis, 2013. With Inside Llewyn Davis, the brothers once again proved to be somewhat ahead of the curve in casting Star Wars' own Oscar Isaac in the title role. It is a bittersweet journey, yet manages to end on a cautiously optimistic note. It's also a fair bit more grounded than other Coen movies, really. And if nothing else, Inside Llewyn Davis should be remembered as the movie in which Poe Dameron and Kylo Ren record a song together, and a song about outer space no less, which is pretty good foreshadowing if you ask me. 10. A Serious Man, 2009. A real standout film in the Coens' filmography in many respects, A Serious Man also feels like one of their most deeply personal works, as the film takes a dive into their Jewish heritage and explores the midlife crisis of a mild-mannered academic in late 1960s suburbia. A Serious Man brings to the surface the existential undertones which have been apparent throughout the Coens' body of work, as the excellent Michael Stuhlbarg turns to his faith to help him through, but when he fails to find the answers he seeks, this leads him to question whether there really are any answers to be found. It's a compelling and emotional journey to be taken on, at times darkly hilarious, but also profoundly sad, and all the more haunting for its somewhat open-end lady. 8. Barton Fink, 1991. As difficult to classify as their work tends to be, Barton Fink is among their most fascinating oddities, blending dark humour, character-based drama, film and industry satire, and murder mystery, with elements of nightmarish surrealism which take it close to horror movie territory. Ooh. It's a perplexing and unsettling film, which can be a little hard to process, I guess, but it is a compelling puzzle nonetheless. John Turturro and John Goodman are both excellent, and it is visually striking too, of course, which it would be since it was the Coens' first collaboration with Roger Deakins. That is, the Blade Runner guy, for everyone who didn't know that, but you all do, but he's all about aesthetic. Deakins and aesthetic, it's like a hot dog and mustard. 7. The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, 2018. The film is essentially an anthology of vignettes, each telling a tale of the Old West, most of which are far more grim and bloody than about 90% of the Western genre. They're peppered with famous faces and incredible performances, particularly by Tom Waits, and most of all, they're an exercise in directors showing off their eye for character and for shots. It all looks beautiful, and the short stories all come heavily drenched in the Coens' signature dark ideas and pitch black humour. 6. Raising Arizona, 1987. One of the most unorthodox yet endlessly entertaining comedies of the 1980s, this unique blend of rom-com and crime caper was also the springboard for good old Nicolas Cage, and the lovely Holly Hunter too. It was on this film that the Coens' genre-bending wizardry ways really came into their own, shifting things around like Harry Potter on crack. While clearly more upbeat than Blood Simple, Raising Arizona still deals with serious underlying themes of domestic harmony, adult responsibility, and the struggles of would-be parents, as well as grander, fantastical elements. And of course, it is notable for getting an amazing performance out of Nicolas Cage. Oof. You go, Nicolas Cage. 5. Miller's Crossing, 1990. Another of their more grounded films, this Prohibition-era crime drama not only ranks among the Coens' finest work, but it is also one of the best gangster films of the era. And yes, I said it, and that's with Goodfellas and Casino all up in that decade too. It is. While largely played straight, there is still room found for some signature Coen humour. Gabriel Byrne's tendency to step through doors directly into a punch in the face is played for slapstick laughs, for example. Still, as a crime epic exploring themes of honour and loyalty, Miller's Crossing definitely ranks among the best of them, and the woodland scenes boast some of the Coens' most iconic shots. 4. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, 2000. A bizarre epic, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou broadly retells the Odyssey in Great Depression-era Mississippi, with George Clooney, John Turturro, and Tim Blake Nelson as a trio of jailbreakers with all manner of oddball misadventures whilst travelling across the wilderness. Perhaps above all else, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is almost certainly the Coens' most visually sumptuous work. It's notable for being one of the first non-special effects-based films to make extensive use of CG elements, the sepia look achieved via digital colour correction. And so good was its soundtrack that it led to an unlikely revival in bluegrass music. 3. No Country for Old Men, 2007. For all their flair shown in their own original works, No Country for Old Men demonstrates that the Coens can still produce exceptional work whilst handling material that is not exclusively of their own creation. A modern-day western, No Country features the existential anxiety that comes up time and again in their films, especially acutely, particularly as he ends on a seemingly inconclusive note with little sign of any hope. Unnervingly bleak, No Country for Old Men is one that really stays with you and definitely deserved its Oscars, picking up Best Adapted Screenplay for the Coens and Best Supporting Actor for the spooky Javier Bardem. 2. Fargo, 1996. Now, this is my personal favourite of the bunch for its bizarro premise alone. In a move that can only be classified as some Coen bullshit, the claim made at the opening that Fargo is based on a true story was an outright lie, although it has been claimed that a number of real-life crimes inspired the script. It made it interesting. Whatever you want to do, Coen brothers. In any case, Fargo is a masterful blend of the comic, the tragic, and the horrifically violent, and is quite rightly looked back on as one of the finest crime films of the 90s. The snow-strewn setting makes for some hugely striking and memorable imagery, and the cast all gives some of the best performances of their respective careers. Big up Frances McDormand for being such a lovable weirdo. And number 1, The Big Lebowski, 1998. As wonderful as their whole body of work is, there was never really any doubt to which film would have come in at number 1. Really, was there? The Big Lebowski is truly their most iconic, memorable film the Coen brothers have ever made. With colourful characters, settings and dialogue, it is the most cult-friendly and quotable, but still has sophistication in even the most crass of gags. The film quietly tackles an underlying existential angst and is not without its bleak and tragic moments, but it remains their most endearing film for its underlying optimism. It's not entirely surprising then that the film has inspired a religion, Dudism, dedicated to the philosophy of taking it easy and going with the flow. What else could you want, really? Well, there was me praising up all 18 of their films, but what do you think? What is your favourite Coen movie, and how does the latest Buster Scruggs hold up? What would you put at number 1? Let me know in the comment section below. As usual, I've been Ash, this has been What Culture, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.